Okay, this is illustrating how events like button executions or button clicks are handled in differential execution. Uh, we've added to the global state variables a command mode variable, which is normally false. And when a button click occurs, the button ID is captured, the global boolean is set to true, and an update pass is performed. In that update pass, it's modified by this boolean saying that no writing to the FIFO is performed, no UI control is altered, and data read from the FIFO is not lost. When the button with that ID is visited, it performs its action code and then exits. That exit uh, takes the form of a throw, which goes immediately to the top level, at which point the old value of the FIFO is restored, and then an update pass follows immediately. So for instance, here we have a user interface consisting of 4 buttons, of which the middle 2, buttons B and C, are dependent on this boolean called myBool, which is initially false, and the state variables for differential execution have been augmented with this be command mode boolean, which is false. And I'm just going to run through the first pass, which of course makes button A, and then it checks to see if my bool is true, which it isn't, so it skips over the inside and it restores the value, and then it draws button D. Okay, now we're going to click button A, and so we've just pressed button A, and what we do when that happens is we start a new pass, a new update pass, but with command mode true. And what's going to happen is that button A is going to recognize that its ID has been saved, and it's going to then it's going to return the value true, which is going to cause my bool to be set to true. That's its action code, and then it's going to throw out because it's going to exit. Okay, so remember, these are the steps it's going to take. No writing to the FIFO is performed, no UI control is altered, and data read from the FIFO is not lost. It's going to perform the exit code and then exit. So here goes. Okay, button A recognized its ID and returned true, and that allows its action code to be executed. Notice that it read its values out of the FIFO, but we drew them in light gray here to represent that they're not really lost. So it performs the action code, which sets my bool to true, and now it's going to throw out. Now we follow immediately by an update pass, which will do the usual thing, given that my bool is now true. Okay, it updates A, which does nothing, read the old value from the FIFO and wrote the new value. Now it's going to do the if statement, which because the boolean is now true and it was false before, let's make sure we recognize that. See, it went from 0 to 1. And now it's going to show, see the mode change to show. I'm going to show button B, show button C, pop out of the if, and then button D is going to update. So notice the old position of button D and the new position of button D, so it moves. Now we're going to do a click on button B. Okay, so button B was pressed, which sets command mode to true and starts an update pass. So button A updates, Remember, when we clicked button B, the ID for button B was saved. So button A says, was that my ID? No, so it doesn't return true. It returns false. Then we do the if statement in the normal way, except it's not writing anything. And now we're going to get into button B, and it recognizes its ID. So it says return true, execute my action code, which is just set the Boolean to false, and throw out, immediately followed by an update pass. And so the update pass now is the same as usual, except the myBool has been made false. So it goes in and executes buttons B and C in erase mode, making them disappear. Pops out of the if, and then it gets to button D, which knows its old position, knows its new position, and updates itself. And that's how it works.